What's up, all you cool kids out there? This is BROWNLLAMMA, and this is video 2 of the Winkin Gentleman Society Microsoft Word Learning class. Yes, this is a free course, and we don't ever plan on charging people to learn. I think that is the dumbest shit ever. So stay tuned, and let's get started on this. What we're going to be covering in this video is just going to be on formatting text and paragraphs. Now, the first thing we're going to do is just applying some basic formatting, just so you understand how things work and don't feel like you're left out of the loop because you don't know how to make colors on your font or make them different sizes or, you know, remove something. That's the main purpose that we try to show you these things, not necessarily for you to sit there and try to remember how to do everything, but we want you to keep in mind that there's a way to undo things. So if somebody sends you a document and they need you to, you know, look over it, help them out, you want to know how to undo some of the stuff that they've done. Some people go crazy with the colors and designs and formatting, and a lot of times you don't need that. So let's see if we can get you something that sticks here. So the first thing I'm going to do is start a new blank document, and we're going to type in lorem. We're going to type in equal lorem, open close parentheses. Now this little function here is just to put in some dummy text if you didn't see the first video, and it's just to have something to play with. So once you hit enter, it's going to give us some dummy text there to play with so we can get started with this. Now remember, you got to keep in mind about the kitchen. This is the kitchen. The ribbon is the kitchen. This is where all your pots and pans are, your ingredients, your cleaning materials, everything's in the kitchen. Find out where you need to go, what you need to do. The first section here is called the clipboard section. And remember, you can expand these little dialog boxes here to get more options. Again, I can see everything that I've copied and pasted so far. And what we're going to be working on this time is going to be in the fonts group. So I just want to show you some things with the clipboard section real quick. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit Control A to select all, and I'm going to hit Control X to remove it. Remember, it does save it to the clipboard temporarily. So as long as I don't copy anything else there, it'll stay there so that I can hit Control V to paste it. Here you have your clipboard. If you click this arrow, you can select how you want to paste that information. Remember, I haven't clicked anything yet, so it's not going to commit to the change. Right now I'm hovering over it, so it's just showing me previews. And since there's no formatting, you're not seeing much of a difference. So remember that you have that little arrow. If you need to paste special, it's going to use different formatting, HTML, Word document stuff. That's stuff we can worry about later. But just remember, you have that. If you just click the clipboard, it's going to paste whatever you copied or cut. What I want to show you real quick is the format painter. So, well, before I show you that, I'm going to double click this here. So I just triple clicked actually and selected this whole paragraph, and you can see that the cut and copy lit up. So the same Control X, you can see the shortcut here, or Control C, you can see that shortcut there. Those are those same exact options there. These are just button forms of those shortcuts. So I can hit cut and it does exactly that. And what I'm doing right now is hitting Control Z, Control Z to undo what I just did. So with the format painter, so let's take this, let's triple click so we can select this entire paragraph, and we want to make this blue. Now with the format painter, the reason why that's so cool is that it can actually take all of your formatting, and instead of you having to go click a bunch of buttons and try to remember what you did, it can take exactly what you told it to copy and then apply that formatting for you. For example, we're going to take this lorem, we change it to that little aqua blue. Let's bump up the size a couple of times here, and then let's change the font. So I don't know, we'll use that. So we'll use this font here. I don't even know what I have that font for. All right, but anyway, so I want to change this little section. So let's triple click here and select that paragraph. I want to change just this section to look like that. And I don't remember what I did. My color's still there because it's still in the font group, but I don't remember which font. I don't remember the size. Not a problem. Double click either one of the words or triple click the entire paragraph. As long as you select something that has that formatting, it works. So I'm going to double click this word here, which has our blue color, it has our crazy font, and it has a different size. So now that I have it selected, pay attention up here. It tells me exactly what font I'm using, it tells me the size, and obviously we still have that color. But if we don't want to click a whole bunch of buttons and all of that good stuff, we want to change all of this to look just like that. What I'm going to do is double click one of these words, and click the format painter. Now, when you use the format painter, since I've already clicked it, you can see that it's still highlighted, that the format painter is ready to be used. If you click and drag, so click and then drag to what you want to change to that, it paints it, it copies it, it mimics it, whatever it makes it stick for you. It changes that to the same formatting as that. So let's say I didn't want to do that. I can either hit this back arrow to undo or Control Z. Now let's say I click this, I'm gonna hit Format Painter because I'm saying, hey, copy this style for me. I can double click just that one word or click just that one word and it's gonna change that. Now, if I double click anything else, I can't do it because the Format Painter turned off. It was on one time only. Now, if you highlight over the Format Painter, look at the options it tells you. Select the content, click the Format Painter, select something else to automatically apply the formatting. To apply the formatting in multiple places, double click the Format Painter. Remember that, double click it. So watch, I'm gonna undo that. So I'm gonna keep hitting that until you can keep hitting Control Z or the undo button until it goes back to where you feel like you have a better start. So remember, if I click Format Painter once, here, I'm gonna click this, I click Format Painter once, I can only use it once. Control Z, but if I select this and I double click the Format Painter, then it stays on. So now I can click here, I can click here, I can click here, I can go back up here, I can go here, and you can see it's still highlighted. That means it stayed on. So you double click it to keep it on, and then you click it again to turn it off. If you're only going to use it one time, click it one time, and then either click the word that you want to change that formatting, or click and hold the left mouse key and drag to where you want that formatting to be applied. Make sense? Good, I hope so. So watch, I'm gonna hit Control A to copy all, I'm gonna hit Control X to cut it because I want it removed. I don't want it, if I did Control C to copy, all I'm gonna do is copy it exactly as it is. That's not what I want. I want to Control X to remove it completely. Now I can go back here and click this little paste option. See this one, keep source formatting? Maybe I don't wanna do that. Merge the formatting, maybe I want to do that. Merge a picture, no, I don't want that. Or keep just the text. So I'm gonna go with either merge formatting because I have no formatting, or go with keep just the text. So now we have that without the formatting that we just used using the Format Painter. So those are your options in the clipboard section. What we're focusing on now is gonna be the font section. So this, hopefully this should be very self-explanatory. You wanna change the font, highlight the word or words that you would like to change the font of. Remember, you double click one word, you're only going to select that one word. If you click and drag, like say if I just want the S in this, you click and drag over the S and it highlights just the S. But if I want the entire paragraph, you just triple click somewhere in that paragraph and it'll select everything associated with that paragraph, and then we can change things. So the first thing we're going to do is change out the font. So let's say we're going to go with something more traditional like Arial. You can hit Arial or start typing Arial. That's a good thing there. You can start typing in the type of font, hit D, and it's going to bring up whatever D fonts you have. You can go back, hit H, and it's going to bring up, you know, whatever type of H fonts you have. It's not going to change it until you hit enter. So once I hit enter, it's going to change it to the first H font it found. But just pull down the menu and then go through your fonts. Again, you'll do like Times New Roman, Arial, I want to say maybe Helvetica. Those are the things that are going to be pretty standard in a business area. But if you're trying to do something fun and creative, you have different fonts that you can play with. So let's hit this. Remember, if you select it and hit this one with the little pink eraser, it clears the formatting, goes back to default, changes the size, everything. So just remember that if you get too wild and crazy in there and you just want to start over, clear all formatting. Just make sure it's selected so it knows that that's what you're clearing. Now, as far as the styles, we're going to go over that. So let's say we want to change this first paragraph to, we'll leave it at Calibri. And then we'll change this third paragraph. Let's change that one to something else, double lines. And then this paragraph, we're going to change it to whatever that is. So we have 3 different font styles, 4 different font styles, and going on inside this little thing here. Well, 3, yeah, 1, 2, and 3. So you can change that. Again, if you want to use the Format Painter, select what you want to copy the formatting from, double click it to keep it on, and then click the words, that you want to change to that formatting style. Or click and drag to everything you want to change that formatting style to. So let's undo that. Let's go back a couple times here and go forward one more time. So now we have 3 different styles. The good thing is when you click anywhere around this, it doesn't have to be selected. Like here, I can click in here within that paragraph or click in here, and you'll see up here, it'll keep changing to whatever font it recognizes that the cursor is close to, size and everything. So what you have here next is going to be the styles, which are going to be bold, italic, and underline, B, I, and U. So let's say we want to bold this, right? Remember, you have the quick access or the quick toolbar here, the mini toolbar. We can bold that. We can go to this and italicize that. And we can go to this and underline that, right? So you can select them all if you want. Italicize, underline, and bold. Of course, you also have shortcuts. So I'm going to select all of these and I'm going to hit clear formatting. What you can do is select this. Maybe I want that to be bold. Again, hold Control. While holding Control, hit B and it'll bold it for you. If I want to italicize it, hold Control, hit I, and it's italicized. I want to underline it, hold Control, and hit U, and it underlines it for you. So you always have different shortcuts using the Control key in conjunction with another key in order to do the same thing that the buttons will do for you. All right, so remember that. Those are your 3 styles. You have the bold, italicize, and underline. Now, another thing you want to have here is the strike through. A lot of times, I don't think anywhere really uses this other than maybe like in official documents or something. They can't, if I remember this properly, they can't take things out of a document that were in there initially. So they have to put that little strike through in there just to show that it's not relevant to the document now, but it was part of the original document. Because I was asking somebody about that. Like, why not just, you know, create a fresh document or something? But I think that they only use that in the legal sector for some reason. So if you need to, or you just want to create something fun just to be goofy and play around, that's what that does. Highlight whatever it is that you want to have. Remember, triple click to select the entire paragraph, double click to select just a word, or click and drag if you want to select just a letter or just a few words. Or double click the word you want, hold Control, double click the other words that you want, wherever they are, and the formatting will work on that. So watch it. I hit that. All of those change to that little aqua blue. If I want to clear the formatting for those while they're still selected, I can hit clear formatting and it fixes all of those. See how this went back to the default even though everything around is the same? So just try to keep in mind the different ways you can play around with formatting your text. Now the next one here, you have the subscript and then the superscript. So again, it just depends on what you're doing. I know some teachers may use it. This, say if you're playing, here, let's hit Control A, hit delete, get rid of all of that. If I go H2O. So say if we wanted to make something for the kids, you know, just like some little chemistry or element charts or something like that, just something for them to play with and learn at home. You can highlight the 2 and go click subscript and it puts it down there. Here, I'll zoom in so you can make sure you can see that. So again, here, let's take a step back. All I did was highlight the 2 because that's the only one I want to change, hit subscript, and it drops it down there. So if I want to do something like, say we're going to play with like exponents or, you know, make some math sheets or something like that for the kids to play with. Let's go X and we want to go cube. So we're going to go X3, and in order to turn that 3 into a cube, we can go here and go to superscript and push it up there. And then when you hit enter, when you hit space, you'll go back to the normal lines. So just like that, we can X3 minus, what, I don't know, 4X plus 9 is equal to 0. Equal to 0. So again, that's a good way that, you know, if you're in the educational sector or if you want to have your kids practice with some math sheets, like custom math sheets, that's how you do all of that stuff. So again, I'll select these and we'll hit superscript so that they go up to the top. And then we can take this one and make it subscript so that it goes to the bottom. So sub at the bottom, super at the top. Now we can select all of those, hit clear formatting, and it gets rid of any of those little aesthetic changes, I guess you can call them. Now the next one is going to be the size keys. Remember, I showed you these here. You can select what you want to change the size of and go to the numeric value and change those sizes, right? The other thing that you can do, like let's say if we just want to change the size of the O, you can go here, the A, where you can increase the font size, or the lowercase, the smaller a, and decrease the font size. So you hit that and we can make it smaller. You hit that one and we can make it larger. All up to you on how big or small you need it or want it to be. This one here is just going to be your text effect. Again, you'll use these if you're doing fun stuff, usually not appropriate for the business, for the workplace. But if you want to play with different little text effects, you have that. So you don't necessarily have to be a pro in Photoshop if you can make a cool little, graphical text or flyer or something like that. You can do all of that stuff right here in Microsoft Word. So let's clear the formatting on that. This one here, I think I showed you this here already, but this is just a highlighter. This isn't technically a formatting option, but it does emphasize whatever it is that we're playing with. So you can click the highlight and it'll highlight, but I don't have any color selected. So that's why you see the gray bar. But if you click the arrow, then you can pick the color of the highlighter. So let's say we bring all of this here and say this minus that, whatever. And we want to tell them, hey, solve for X. We can select X and then go to the highlighter and highlight that. And we want to tell them, hey, make sure that you understand that you're going to have 0, so you're going to have multiple equations. Highlight it. It's just a little reminder. Again, if you select it all and you hit clear formatting, there's no formatting there. These are just overlays just to emphasize or draw attention to that. There's no formatting. So in order to get rid of your highlighter, or if somebody sends you a document with highlighter on it, then in order to get rid of that, you want to go here and go to no color. Or you can hit stop highlighting, but again, you can just hit no color, make sure it's selected, and it removes the highlighting color. The other thing you have here, so let's go back. We're going to do like as far as the case, the font case and all that good stuff, the sentence case. So let's do equals lorem, open close parentheses. We have some generic text there. So what we can do here, say we have lorem again, and we want to, I don't know, make lorem all caps. You see this one where you have the capitalized A and the lowercase a? If you click that, you have different options. Sentence case means it's going to put it in sentence format, as in capitalize the first letter of the sentence, everything else, unless specifically or explicitly implied, is going to follow the case of a sentence. It's not going to be capitalized. So if we hit sentence case, okay, capitalize the first letter of the first word. Or you can go here and hit lowercase, everything turns lowercase. You go uppercase, everything's uppercase. You go to capitalize each word, it's only going to capitalize lorem because that's the only word that we have selected. However, if we select the entire paragraph and say capitalize each word is capitalized. If we jump back a couple steps, uppercase everything or lowercase everything, and it's only going to work on whatever you have selected. So if you don't see these little gray boxes, or sometimes they're blue, if the words or text isn't highlighted, it's not going to affect it. So you want to make sure whatever you're trying to format is highlighted. And then toggle case, all that's going to do is change it up and down, whether it's going to be uppercase or lowercase, things like that. So you can see here where you have the toggle, where you have the lowercase at the beginning and uppercase at the beginning, and then or at the end. And then another thing that we have, which you might not come across a lot. Well, I don't know. It depends on if you use social media. So here, let's turn this to sentence case, where it's only going to capitalize the first word. But you have this other thing called camel case, and I'm just letting you know this just for whatever. But that is usually where you have is 2 words, and all they did was capitalize the first letter of each word, but put them together. So if we were going to be loremipsum.com and we wanted people to know about us on social media, we'd be like pound lorem capitalized, ipsum capitalized. So, and that's called camel case. A lot of people, if you're into programming, you'll notice that with programmers. A lot of programmers write their code that way, or play with different code snippets that way. It's just a good way to recognize that this is a command and those are two different functions or two different variables or what have you. So you just kind of, it's called camel case again, just to capitalize that. So just to show you again, if you play with the casing, sentence case, make everything lowercase, make everything uppercase, capitalize each word. Since it's looking at it as one word, it's not going to do that. But if we separate it, capitalize each word. So just know that those are options for you. You don't have to go in there and, change individual words or anything like that. Select what you want to play with or what you want to modify, and then go in and play with the casing if you need to. If say your kids are learning how to write their first papers or what have you, and everything's in capital letters because they're not sure, or everything's in lowercase letters because you're not familiar with like caps lock or using the shift key, go in there, select whatever it is that they have that's improper, and play with the casing for them real quick and show it to them. Hey, you can go here and turn everything lowercase, or hey, you can't have your first word in the first sentence can't start with a lowercase letter. Go here, go to sentence case, and it'll set it up for them. And you can see that every word, I'll show you again just in case you didn't catch that. Let's go to lowercase. If we go to sentence case, because you can see here like the M, because there's a period and then the M is lowercase, and then where else I think, and then there's another period here, so the F is lowercase on that one. You can go into sentence case, and anything after the period is going to automatically capitalize for you in the form of a sentence structure. So just remember, and again, this is your font group. Now, the more advanced features in the font group are going to be here in this launch box, the dialog box. You may not necessarily need to use this, but if you're going to, get into something serious and you need to kind of, I guess, be more refined with your formatting, this is where you can come and do it. Again, you have all of those options here in the toolbar and the ribbon, but you can come into that and check out more advanced features if you want to underline things, if you want the underline to be double lined or thick line or dotted line. That's where you would find all of this stuff. So just in case you didn't catch that, that's what these little boxes are here. They just expand advanced functions. And then just remember, if you have something selected, remember if you select it, you double click it. See, if I pull away from it, I lose my little mini toolbar because I pulled away from it. But if you double click it and stay within this little region, the quick toolbar stay on there. Bold, italicize, underline, the highlighter's there, the color's there, all of that stuff is there. Another thing you want to do, you click these, they're dark gray because that means they're in use. When they're light gray or white, that means that they're not in use. So remember, you can double click, hit Control B to bold, or hit B again to unbold, Control I to italicize, or Control I to unitalicize, if I can say that. And probably my professors are probably going to kill me, like, how are you so stupid? Or Control U to underline, or to undo the underline. That's what I probably should have said that. To underline. And then again, remember you have these here, so you can change the font size, or you can play with the actual numeric values. Again, just whatever is going to be comfortable for you. Just keep in mind there's always more than one way to do things in pretty much any program or any operating system. So try to get familiar with those shortcuts by holding Control, and understand that if you can't find it that way, double click it so that you can pull up this little mini toolbar. Or here, let's show you. Say, remember I moved away from it, so now I lose my toolbar, but you can also right click it because it's still highlighted. So when I right click it, it's going to give me options for it. And there's my toolbar again. So remember, the right click is your friend. It doesn't matter if you're working in Microsoft Office or if you're just on the Windows platform. Right click is your friend. That's going to bring up, it's called a contextual menu, and that's going to bring up a few different options for you. So, and another thing I can show you here is tell me what you want to do. I told you guys about that in the first video. So let's say if I want to play with stuff with font, just type in font and it's going to tell me some different actions. I can go into more help if I need, but it's going to give me different settings and different like shortcuts to tools to use to play with the fonts. So let's hit Control A and clear all the formatting. Everything goes back to normal. Now the next thing you have here, we're going to jump over paragraphs. We're going to come back to that here. You have the styles. So if you're writing something and you're looking for a specific style, just whatever it is, that make sure it's highlighted, that it's selected, and you can play with these different styles to get, you know, some kind of formatting going for you. They have, like, they're all pre-built, but you can also create your own style. You can clear the formatting and then you can apply the style. So you can go through here, click that for whatever reason you may want that. Let's hit Control A to select all. And let's go with that one, which is going to give us a little border at the top and a little border at the bottom. And again, those are just little generic styles to play with to help you get started. So I'm going to hold Control and scroll down to scroll out a little bit, zoom out. And then if you don't like that, or it's just not doing it for you, or did too much of the text, hit clear formatting and make yourself happy. Now with the paragraph section, again, you can hover over it to see the different options that you have here. So I'll show you here. You can put your cursor here, and this is where you play with your indentation. And you see how that moves the entire paragraph? Because that's what I have selected. Now, what you can do is, say we want to turn this into a bulleted list. That's what these are. You have bullets, and you have numeric list, and then you have a nested list, or multi-level as they call it, but it would be nested. So with the bullet, we'll select where we want our bullet to start, and you hit the bullet. Now, once you get to the end of this paragraph, every time you hit enter, it's going to start you a new bullet, unless you double hit enter. So hit enter, I didn't put in any information, I hit enter again, Word assumes I don't want to play with the bullets anymore. So let's go back. I'm going to hit enter, type in 1, 2, 3. See, I had too much coffee already. I double type it. Hit enter again. As long as there's some information, some values there, it'll keep going. But when you get down to 1 and you don't put any information and you hit enter again, it takes you out of the bulleted list. When you click anywhere in that bulleted list area, you see how the bullet list lights up? When I go down here, is not lit up now because there's nothing in the bullet format. But anything in here, it shows that it's lit up. And again, if you want to be, you know, fun and functional, because that's great for creating a list to use the bulleted items, you can also click the little arrow and switch the type of bullets that you use. You know, if you, again, you want something fun, a little bit creative and kind of play around, you can get in there and switch those around. Now for the, so let me take that off. So you see how I clicked in here? If I uncheck or click this again, it undoes the bullet formatting. The numbered list, that is something you want to use if there's a function or steps or some kind of chronological order you want to define. So we can do that. I'm going to hit delete actually and bring this up. So when I hit enter again, as long as I'm within this paragraph, every time I hit enter, it's going to keep going with the numbering. But see, I didn't put any information in number 3. If I hit enter again, it takes me out of that list. So if you ever start a list and, you know, maybe you forgot to put something in or you hit enter too many times, don't have an issue. Just click anywhere towards the end of the last digit that you put in, hit enter, and it'll start the list for you again. As long as there's some information there, you hit enter, it'll keep going. If you don't put any information, it assumes you're done and it kicks you out of the list. So you can go back in here, select all of these if you want, click the list, and it takes it off. The nested list here, I'll show you that. You probably won't use that very much, but you can go here and pick how you want it. Like you can go, like say if you're doing a recipe, you can go step 1, do this, A, and then B, do that, and then C, do that, and then step 2, A, this, B, that, C, this. So again, it's a cool thing to know that it's there. Again, you probably won't use it a lot unless you're doing something where you need to give some detailed instructions. A lot of times you'll find what you need to use is right here in the bulleted list if you need to highlight specific points, or if you want to put things in a chronological order as far as steps or something like that, then you have the numbered list. Now, if we select this, and you can see here that this one is already highlighted, this one is already selected. That's usually by default. These are your alignments. How do you want to align it? We want this aligned to the left, right? So if I click it again, it takes it off and pushes it to what's called justified, which is just going to put it in the best order that it thinks. That's not necessarily what you need, because here, US, English, Western, we're going to use starting from the left. But if you want to have it centered, You hit the center button. Just make sure whatever you're going to modify is selected. You notice none of this stuff changed because it's not selected. Only this stuff will change. So now it's center. Maybe I wanted to start from the right. You can right justify it. All right, so you got left, centered, right. That's how you change your alignment. If you don't want to change the full paragraph, maybe let's say lorem is going to be the start of it. Let's hit enter so we have some space. I don't want to get rid of it. Let's put the cursor there, hit enter, and we want lorem to be the title. So lorem, we'll hit center, and it will center only lorem. All right. If you hit any of these other alignments, it's only going to move just that because that's where the cursor is. If we want to change any of these, you see as soon as I click there, it showed me which one is active. And this is how you modify them. Now this is your line and paragraph spacing. You want to be familiar with that one because if your professor or your boss or somebody says, send me this document, it needs to be double spaced, which you probably shouldn't be doing at this point in your career. But if they say they want it double spaced, select the text that you're going to change, click the arrow, 2 is double spaced. If you need a little bit less space, I usually use the 1/15th for because I write a lot, but that's usually what you're using in a professional environment. You want to make sure that there's enough white space in between your paragraphs, not in between the sentences. So let's say if we're going to start a paragraph here, let's put all of this. Let's select everything and put it all at 1. So you see how much closer everything is. Now, if we select it all again, because we're going to change it, 1/15, 1.5 spaces, double space, 2.5, 3. I don't even know why you would go further than that, but who knows? Just know that that's how you change your line spacing. So to give you another example, say our first paragraph, we want it to be, I don't know, some sort of emphasis. So we're going to double space just the first paragraph. The rest of these are going to stay at 1. Or we can go to 1.5 or 3, whatever you need. Just remember, if you're going to change it, you need to make sure it's highlighted, and the changes are only going to affect what's highlighted. These are your indentation buttons. I think I showed you that already. So if you need to increase or decrease your indentation, a lot of times you could just use these markers to set up your indentation so that it's automatic. And if you're using Microsoft Word and you don't see like the ruler and things like that, just real quick, go to view, and here you can see the ruler. See how you can turn that off and on? You see the ruler? You can turn on the grid lines so you can see where you're typing, or at least the space that is suggested for you. And you can turn on your navigation pane. So your navigation pane is always on, even if it seems like it's taking up too much of your space. See how the arrow changes to a left, right when you're in the right spot on the border? And you can move that along so that way it's a little bit smaller. It's still there, but it's not taking up too much space. Or you can hit the X and get rid of it. So that way you have maximum space there. So remember, it's under the View tab. So back to the Home tab. This is where all the basic stuff is. This is just going to be shading. And what that is just adding colors to the back of the text. Not changing the color of the text, but putting like a little block of color behind the text. So let's go with, let's start with lorem, since that's our title. And right now it's not set to a color, so no color. That's why it's gray. But before you select the color, you can just hover over them and highlight them. So here, let's go down here so we can actually see. And go here, and when you select something like that, then you can see what color is going to be behind it. And again, this is going to be like the highlighter. It's not formatting the text, so you can't use the clear all formatting to get rid of that. You're going to have to go back into it and go to no color. So if we change this to our favorite blue color, right? Double click it, clear formatting. Oh, I guess it does get rid of it. My bad. That's why this is free, so shut up. So double click it, and this just changes the color behind it. And yes, we just learned together that the clear formatting does change that. It still doesn't seem to work on the highlighter. Now I got to try the highlighter again. I'm pretty sure it doesn't work on a highlighter. It never works on a highlighter. I could be wrong. So let's see. And I highlighted that color. Double click it. Clear formatting. Okay, yeah, so it doesn't work on the highlighter. So let's go to no color, but it will get rid of this shading. And again, you can just double click the word that, you know, if it's blue and you don't want that blue, double click it and go and select a different color, or hit no color to get rid of the color. Again, you want to know this stuff, so just in case you need to fix somebody else's mistakes or something like that, you want to know how to get rid of that kind of stuff for them. And then I'll show you a quick thing with using hyphenation. Again, you want to use hyphens if you need to put two words together, or you want to separate, you know, like the syllables in a word or something like that. So a hyphen, here, let's get rid of this. Let's say like walkthrough. And I don't know why I can't spell. So walkthrough, a lot of times that's not going to be acceptable in most places. So you'll get that hyphen. All it is just a dash, and you can put that there. Well, not in between the T. It's Control Z to undo that. Let's go back one. So that way you show two different words. It's a walkthrough. I'm showing you how to do something. Now, if you have that issue, or maybe it's, you know, the readability is a problem, you can type in your first word. So let's go walk, double dash, and then type through. And when you get off of that word, hit space or enter, then it gives you that longer dash. So if you feel more comfortable using a longer dash, just remember how to do that. So again, we'll type in walk, dash, and then through. And when I hit space, it didn't give me the long one, right? It just gave me that quick little short one, like using a compound word. Now, if I select it, get rid of it, and I type in walk, double dash, through, and I hit space or enter, it gives you that longer, more emphasized hyphenation. So that's another way that you can use hyphens. And to show you, I guess, a different way that you can do the indentation, I don't do like tab, 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 or space, space, space. And the reason why you don't want to do that, especially if you're in school, your teacher you will be busted and you will look dumb. So watch, if I hit tab, 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 space, 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 to try to make my indentation, if your teacher turns on this show paragraph thing, this show and hide, this shows everything that's going on in your paper. So it shows the tabs and it shows the space, and it's gonna be like, okay, that's improperly formatted. And a lot of programs where you submit your papers, I don't know if they still use like Turnitin and things like that, it'll actually screw up your paper because it's reading the wrong little glyphs or the wrong information. But what you can do is go up here, these little tabs up here, and you can set your left indentation. So you can set exactly where you want the indentation to be. And if you're unsure, start at the beginning, hit tab one time, and you see where it stops? See where it's blinking? And then grab this and move it to that. And then hit delete or backspace to get rid of the tab. So now when you type in your sentences, everything is going to be indented for you. Select it all and then move it back to where you want it to be. Again, you could probably get away with using just one tab, but just understand you have the left and right tab up here on the horizontal bar, the horizontal ruler, and that way you can play around with your tabs. And you see how I can manipulate the way the words are. So with this is going to be kind of like a bounding box, but only for this, because this is what I have selected. So anything that I type in here, let's do it again. Let's equals lorem, it's going to stay bound into that little area. And you can see where all your paragraph marks are, all of that good stuff. Select all, delete that. Now this little show and hide thing is super helpful. So let's go equal lorem, open, close. What this does, so if you have that, it shows where you have space. So here, let's knock this down a couple times. That shows a paragraph every time I hit enter. It'll show you dots every time you have a space. So the reason why that's good to know is because, say we were typing here and we accidentally hit double space instead of one space, you can see where you have that extra unnecessary space in between certain words or letters, and that'll also help with the readability and flow of your paper. So don't be afraid to use that. Most people don't even know what the hell that is. Click it. If all of these little glyphs get in your way, you can always turn it off, but turn it on before you submit your paper so you can see if you have any kind of errors as far as the mechanics of your paper. Again, your teachers probably use that kind of stuff to see how you formatted your paper, and a lot of times, well, depending on how my teachers were like ridiculous, but if you have an additional space in between a letter, you know, like here, if my teacher were to see this, she would know that I screwed up somewhere, because why do I have double space in between an A, or something like that. So it'll just help you understand where things are. And you'll notice if there's a single space, you get a single dot. And then this lets you know where the paragraphs end, where the paragraphs begin. So just keep all that stuff in mind. Get in here and experiment, play with this. This little thing here is just a sort. You're probably not going to really use that too much unless you're putting something together. I would probably use Excel mostly for my sorting, but you can sort things in Microsoft Word the same way you do in Excel. A lot of times you probably won't really need to, but if you do need to sort something, you can click that. You can sort by paragraphs. You can sort it by the text. You can sort it by the number. You can sort it by the dates. And the last section of the paragraph group is going to be the borders. The borders, I'm going to show you how to use that if you're making tables. But your borders, say if we select around this area here, this is the area we want to work on. You can go to all borders, which is going to give us a box around this area. Here, let me turn this off. It's going to give us a box around this area. But say we don't want that. We don't want that box there. We don't need that. You can just go to no borders and it'll get rid of that. And let's assume that lorem is going to be our title again. So let's go up here to lorem. Let's set it to the center. And then let's put a line underneath. So to put a line underneath, you just hit bottom border. So see how I do that? If I hit enter, that border is still at the bottom of lorem. And we can tab that. And have that space. But if we want lorem to be some kind of cool title, if for whatever reason you want to use a full bounding box, you can turn on the right border. You can turn on the left border. You can turn on all borders, which is going to be the same thing as the outside border. The inside border is going to be the same thing. And then you can just turn off individual pieces of the border, depending on what you're trying to do. Another reason why you want to know this is because this is a good way to build your resume. And we're going to have a video on that to show you how to build your resume using tables. Just a basic resume, but it's going to be the structure. And you want to know that because when you submit resumes to some of these computer programs, they actually read your resume based on the table structure. So if you have a bunch of indentations or spaces or something like that to try to make your resume look appropriate or proper, it usually screws it up. So by learning how to do it in tables and learning how to play with the borders, that's a good way to do that. And just to give you a quick example, I usually have people we'll set up the table, and that's going to be actually in the insert tab. But the tables are just text that's surrounded in these borders here. But we'll set everything up. We type out and write here, let's see if I can do another one. Oh, I guess I can only do it once. But you'll type in all your information. Oh, I got something for you. And let's have all of this stuff surrounded by all borders. And you see how there's a border around everything there. So if we wanted all of this information, but we didn't want it to have all of these lines in it, so we would put the resume together in these tables, and then we would go here and remove certain borders. So since all of that's selected, maybe we just want to remove the bottom border, which you can see how, like I said, when you highlight, you can see everything kind of jump around, and you can play with these different borders. Now, if we were to do this in a table, select all, so we can get rid of, make sure there's no borders. No border. Go to insert, and I'm going to cover this section too later. But let's say we made just a single table, and we took all of this text and put it inside this table. Now, everything that we write, I'm going to just hit Control V. I'm just pasting what I copied earlier. Notice how everything stays within that border. None of that information went outside. And when we get to the top, we still have information up top, and then we still have information below it because it wasn't assigned to be in the border. So we can go here. The borders actually, the tables use these borders. And you'll see a little thing here on the side. Let me get to the top of it. See that? So you can move it, or if you select that, it's going to select everything in there. And then we can get in here and manipulate the borders. See, if I want to remove the top border, if I want to remove the right border, if I want to remove the left border, if I want to say all borders or no borders. And the good thing about that, if you can see here, I'm going to press enter a few times. And what I want you to pay attention to is this. You can't see the borders of the table, but you see that little crosshair? That means the table is still there. So anytime I hit enter, all of that information doesn't get bothered because it's within what's called a bounding box. So it's going to move around based on the environment outside, but everything inside stays untouched. So let's delete that. Here, let's just hit Control A, delete, and now we're going to go start with some fresh text. All right, so now that we got our fresh text on there, again, you've learned a bit about the shading, again, which we learned together that you can hit the clear formatting to get rid of the shading. Okay, so here, clear formatting, clear all of that. You learned about where the borders are, and we're going to talk more about the borders once we go in the table, which is going to be under the Insert tab. Remember, we're just working on the Home tab for right now. And then we also showed you the different things in the fonts. You have your different font style, your font size, and then your font options: bold, italicize, underline, Control B, Control I, Control U. You have your strike through. You have your subscript. Remember, that's to put things at the bottom. And then you have your superscript to put something at the top, like an exponent. You have the text style if you want to apply some sort of, cool little graphical effect. We have the highlighter, which does not come off on the clear formatting. And then we have the sentence casing, or I'm sorry, the text casing, where you have the sentence case, turn everything lowercase, turn everything uppercase, capitalize each word from whatever's selected, and then you have the toggle case, which is just going to do the opposite of whatever's been already assigned. Then you have the increase font size, and then you have decrease font size, or you can just pull the drop down menu and select the font size you like. Remember, you have the bullet list, you have the number list, and then you have the multi-level or nested list, your indentation options, your sorting options, your show and hide paragraph marks. So again, that's going to show you where paragraphs are, spaces in between words or letters, and where new paragraphs begin. You have your alignment tools: align left, center, right, and then justified. And then you have your line spacing. Again, that's another one that a lot of people seem to overlook for some reason, but don't forget that line spacing. Make sure that you have your text selected, and then start playing with the line spacing and find the spacing that gives you just enough white space to where it's readable and it doesn't look like everything's cluttered. And I'll show you a quick example before we end this video here. So if we have everything at 1, everything's tight knit. If we go to 1 and 115, we go to 1.5, 2.0, 2.5, 3. So again, that's going to give you a different amount of spacing, and it's all based on what you need to use it for. I think grade school, they still use like double spacing for some of their papers. College, you're probably going to use 115, 1.5, somewhere around there, unless the professor specifically asks for a double spaced paper for some reason. I don't even think they asked the executive summary to be that big. But again, just make sure that, if it's in the syllabus or whatever the instructions are, just know where to find the tools to manipulate that. And then again, the borders here, if you want to be a little creative. But the borders, I really wouldn't bother too much unless you're specifically going to be using tables. And we'll show you that. That's going to be in one of our later videos here. Remember, you have the styles that are already set up for you. You have to have the text selected in order to use this style. If we're not going to change all of this text here, we're only going to change what's highlighted. This style is only going to apply to whatever's highlighted. And I guess just to give you one more tidbit before we close up here, you have find. All you got to do is click find, and that'll bring up this navigation pane. You type in what you want to find. And remember, this works on websites too. So if you're searching for something on a website and you don't want to go through all of their pages or whatever, if it's one of those pages that has a lot of information, hit Control F, just like you can here in Microsoft Word. Hit Control F, and it brings up find. Type in what it is that you're looking for, and it'll highlight, and it'll also show you, here, let's open this up a little bit, and your results. It'll show you how many times it found what you were looking for. Now, the next part of find is the replace. With that, we can find and replace things. So let's say, here, I'll show you a quick one. Let's Control A, let's turn off the paragraph stuff, and I'm gonna go Control V a bunch of times, right? And I'm gonna hit Control F to open up find, and I'm gonna type in lorem, because we should have lorem a few times. So it tells us we have lorem listed 7 times. Now with that there, we can go to replace. Say we want lorem to be Harlem. So it's saying find what? Find lorem. Replace it with what? Harlem. So what it's going to do, either replace the one that we have selected or replace all of them. When you hit find next, it's just going to scroll up and down the document, finding every time it sees lorem. But we want to replace it now. So if we put in what we're looking for and then saying what we want to replace it with, you hit replace all done. We made 7 replacements. Now we can close this, and if we go back to this find and type in Harlem, you can see that Harlem is now showing up 7 times. So it replaced every instance of lorem with Harlem. So that's another way to go through and make sure that you didn't make any errors or anything like that in a document. Find a specific word, you know, say if you're addressing a person or a thing, blue ponies, pink panthers, whatever it is, you can look for that specific word and then replace it with something else. All right, so that will do it for video 2 of our Microsoft Word course. Thank you guys for tuning in. Again, my name is Dathan, Brown Llama from the Winkin Gentleman Society, and we'll see you in the next video. Peace.